everyone. I'm Andrew from Tulip Valley, and I am stoked to bring to you today my good friend Reese Gardner, and we're going to talk about Ethan's Smile, a program that and a Tulip initiative really brought to bear or brought about by the consideration of my good friend Reese. And so, Reese, why don't you tell everyone a little bit about who you are and how you got sucked into this whole thing?
My name's Reese. I got sucked in by one of Andrew's kids who's on a mission in Ecuador right now. He brought me to the farm one day with one of our other friends to work because we all needed money, and I just didn't really leave the farm. I kept going back, and 4 years later, here we are.
You're right. And so, Reese, 4 years later, but that means you started when you were 14, right? Because you're 18 now.
Yeah, I was 14 when I started. Yeah.
That's right. So you have the unique privilege, at least nowadays, of being someone who has 4 seasons both working in the tulips. But you've spent most of your formative working experience on a farm, isn't?
Yeah, it's pretty great to have. I feel like that work it's so much fun. I don't really love like sitting down and working or working inside. So I'll always be coming back to work outside on that farm. It's so much fun.
Right. And you being again one of the kids when I look around my dinner table and tell all my kids, hey, we need some more help out on the farm. He's like, well, we can get Reese, we can get Ashton, we can get, so they kind of run through the trap line of people. And you're someone who even I would say during the COVID period and all that other stuff, you were always there. So you did a lot of different jobs on a tulip farm. Would just help for people that don't know. I mean, you never knew what you were going to get until you hit the parking lot. But what are some of the things that you've done on the tulip farm?
Oh man, I gotta think about that one. We did so many different things. I always really loved working at the first year during COVID, working
Yeah.
like the snack bar because we'd sit inside and we'd have all these snacks around us and we just eat the snacks and
And what teenager
not
doesn't love snacks, right?
yeah,
But
not
I
much
think
got
Reese,
done that year.
what's nuts is I think if there's anything that I've done on the farm, you've done it on the farm. I mean, you've been involved in planting the tulips. I mean, you've been on the planter
Yeah.
with us. You've been involved in harvesting and hand harvesting, and you
Hmm.
helped pack the year that we shipped tulips. You were involved in that, and so you're a tulip kid,
Oh
which
yeah.
that's really I want to say it's pretty unique, but it's also pretty awesome. So you get to yeah that distinct and what I guess what's your favorite thing? What's your favorite thing about now being an 18-year-old going off to conquer the world? As you look back on this will be your 4th season, and you're going to be working with us out
Hmm.
at Tulip Valley this year as a seasoned veteran of 18 years old. What's your favorite part about working with the tulips?
Oh, the people and being outside.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sums it up pretty well.
So the people that come to visit, the team, all of the above, or because you're actually like a team lead. I mean, when teenagers look around, they look to you to see what's going on. But
Mostly the team. I love all the people that go to, but I was referring to the workers, the employees. Everyone there is always so awesome.
yeah, no, and that's something that let's double click on that. Let's really dive into that. You had the unique opportunity of in 2021 of working on the farm. We were just coming out of COVID. There must have been 20 or 30 of similarly aged kids, frankly, that you were kind of in school, you kind of weren't in school. Everybody was kind of doing Zoom classes. So like 20 or 30 of you high schoolers that basically ran the farm, right? You did everything from the parking lot to being out in the fields, and of course, I would say when you're working with me, it's we're gonna have a good time. Of course, that's when you met the Chapin twins, right? Ethan and Hunter and Maisie, and they were part of a bigger. What was that like? Just to kind of coming out of COVID and you hadn't seen people a while, and then poof, now you've got this group of 20 or 30 kids that
I
are.
mean, I'm gonna be honest, during during that summer of COVID, that was probably like my favorite summer ever.
Yeah,
We had this big group of like 30 people, and there was like no lines anywhere. We'd go to the lake and we'd be like the only people at the lake, you know. We'd go to play volleyball and no one else would be there. Like that was a really fun summer. But then going into that tulip season, it felt like summer again.
yeah.
You know, being able to be with all these kids, and it was so much fun. And we always did stuff after work too. It felt like a great summer.
I tell you,
Break.
that was the hardest part of being like the boss that spring for me, because I couldn't tell if you guys were at work or not. I'd come up to somebody, hey, you need to do this, you need to do that. And they're like, bro, I'm not even working. I'm just out here. I'm like, well, just get out of here.
Yeah.
Take your vest off. What do you mean you're not at work? I'm like, no, man, I'm just, it's like, so you're at work, but you're not working. And they were off, you'd be off the clock and you guys would just come to hang
Oh
out.
yeah.
Yeah,
No,
I love
I
it.
was guilty of that a few times. I'd come in and I'd throw in a vest because if you guys needed help, I'd just be able to help out for that few minutes. But then
Yeah,
I wasn't clocked in. I wasn't on the schedule. It's
right.
just so fun to be out there.
Yeah, no, and that was really spectacular. And of course, that's where you got to know you got to know Ethan and that was just a great time. A lot of people want to know what it was like. I know we've talked a lot about what it was like to work on a tulip farm, but what was it like to work
Yeah.
with Ethan?
Ah, I wouldn't even call it work because he just made it so fun. Um, I don't know, everything we did, he always added some like little piece of it, like little piece to make it fun and enjoyable, even if it was awful work.
Reason
Um,
there's no awful work on the farm. Come on.
you're right. I
Yeah.
rephrased
There was
that.
one
Alan
day when it
rephrased
rained out of that whole spring, right?
that.
But that might have not at least.
Yeah, yeah. Like,
Yeah.
you know, like if it's like a no fun job, like taking out the trash or something, it's kind of, you know, it's not awful, but it's like, oh, I don't really want to do that, but I will.
Right.
But he'd make it fun, you know?
Yeah. I think one of the things that people, that we brought up that comes up time and again is that he was a team player. And I think people would like to
Hmm.
know what was it like to be on. I mean, you play team sports, you know what goes into that. How was it? How was it being on his team?
Oh, I mean, it was great. You really always like, I mean, it'd be your team, like if
Oh
you're
wow.
like you said, if it was like my team, but it felt like Ethan would definitely like be the team captain of everyone's team.
Right.
Just the way he led everyone and helped out everyone. It definitely made like working easier. If he like saw me carrying out the trashes and maybe I had like 4 bags, he'd come and grab 2 of them.
Yeah.
And like if he just saw someone who needed help, he'd go out and help them.
Right. Right. Well, transitioning a little bit to the just the facts as they are right now. When and just to bring people up to speed, Ethan was taken from us. If you're unfamiliar with the backstory of why we have the Ethan Smile mix, Ethan was taken from us violently last November, and I found out about it, and I reached out to everyone that was on the crew that I knew that might not have known, and of course I texted you that morning. How did that go down? I mean, what I know is my side of the story, and that's that. It's like, well, I got to reach out. People need to know, and they need to know it from me. And so I zapped you a text. How did it go down from there?
You know, it didn't register with me for a little bit. I saw the text, I read it. I kind of like I was still in bed. I kind of carried on with my day for the most part. I got ready, I went to work, and then I like called my mom and told her, and then that's when it kind of hit me, and then just it wasn't a great day.
No,
Um, yeah.
no. And then the next day, I got a text from you saying, "Hey, let's talk." Right? Hey, is there something that we can do? It was
Hmm.
like, "Hey, have you got a minute or something like that?" And so between that that shock and it not registering, you had an idea. And can you sound that out for everybody? What went through your mind? Because it's uncommon, Reese. Your idea and your response to something that this traumatic people need to know how that went down.
Um, it was more of like after that initial shock wore off and it set in, and I realized kind of what happened. I knew, like, I didn't know personally, but I knew that the Chapins were definitely going through it and they're grieving, and I just wish there was something I could do that I could help them, because I didn't want them to have to go through that. They shouldn't have to go through that. And then that's where the idea kind of came from, is I just wanted to do something for them that could help them through this pain.
And I think I love that for you. I love that for our community, but that is the response, is what can we do? Because I think there's a lot of us that had that initial, oh, what can we do? And
Mm-hmm.
after that first wave of, well, there's nothing we can do, that's so tragic. Can I send flowers? Can I do? But you thought creatively about that. You thought you really spent some time with it, and you had an idea for what initially was, could we name a tulip? How did you get there?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because you called me.
Well,
You said, "What do you?" I mean, tell people what you said. I don't have to explain it. You're here.
I don't remember exactly. Well, what got me there was I just remember, like, I was like, all my memories of Ethan, 90% of them were working on the farm. And I just remember how happy he was on the farm and how he made everyone happy on the farm if he was there. Because
Right.
we would always like ask him, like, hey, when are you working this week? So we can work the same time you work. And
Right.
he was the reason I'd show up on the farm, like, just all the memories on the farm. And I really wanted to find a way to, like, be able to remember him through the farm. And
Right.
then that's when tulips came into my mind.
Yeah, which is fantastic. So you reached out. We had a conversation, and it was what could, and I
Mm-hmm.
love in your innocence, and of saying, hey, could we name a tulip after Ethan? And I thought, that is a fantastic idea. I immediately thought, of course, right. The
Mm-hmm.
answer is
Yeah.
to how is yes. And knowing how that there's an expensive, and I think I explained it, there's an expensive and long and bureaucratic process to name tulips. Um,
Mm-hmm.
However, mixes, or we can name a mix whatever we want. And what we do have a yellow and a white mix that I had wanted to, I've been trying to lean into signature mixes for a while, because I really like them. And we had a white and yellow mix that I immediately thought of, because for similar reasons, that it was a mistake, frankly, that we made when we were planting. And I'll blame you, because I know you were on the planter, and I'm colorblind.
Okay.
So I can't be my fault. Well, we planted a white and a yellow, thinking that it was just going to be all yellow, and somebody dumped the wrong, and it was spectacular, right? It was the number one. I took more pictures of that mix than ever that spring, and it was also
Yeah.
everybody worked out there, and so there was some alignment on that was just, yeah, let's do a mix. We can call it Ethan's, and we didn't even, and then we went back and forth on, well, what do we call it? And
Yeah.
so
And
we had this collision of, what's iconic. Like, tulips are iconic for our community. It's where you've got the significance of your experience with Ethan, and then his smile was iconic for him. And so to be able
yeah.
to say, hey, we're going to take this chocolate and peanut butter and put them together, and call it Ethan's smile, because it really is. It's that combination of significance of tulips, and then honoring what we remember about our friend in a space that really is symbolic of how we choose to remember him, and that's kind of how Ethan's smile was born. And I said, hey, I love it. Here's our part. And then I said, Reese, here's some of the parts that you need to quarterback. And so I said, we can do this, but I need you to do a couple things. Can you tell everybody what it was, the homework that I gave you on that? Do you remember?
I had to talk to the Chapins. I
Yeah.
remember that.
Yeah.
I had to talk to Idaho,
That's right. The University of Idaho, right?
the
Because
University of Idaho.
a student there. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, What else
That was
did you have
largely
me
it. I
do?
said, hey, Reese, I need you to quarterback this because this is your idea. Here's the parts
Mm-hmm.
that Tulip Valley will do on this. And we'll provide the bulbs. We can provide. And at that point, it was like we were just going to plant some memorial gardens. Right,
Yeah.
that was the idea, is that we were going to plant some memorial gardens. We were going to, name this mix after him. And you did. You reached out to the Chapins, and what was their response?
They were really thankful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they still are. I talk
And
to
they still
Stacy a
are.
couple of times a week, and they're gonna, they are both grateful and excited about this. Again, your idea and how it's taken. It's really the response for people that want to be involved in the healing process, because tulips are personal. Our flowers are personal.
Mm-hmm.
Tulips are very personal.
Yeah.
And I'll share. We have in about a month sold over $50,000 worth of Ethan
Wow.
Smile mix on it. It's there's only two products that we offer on our website. As of the 16th of March, and it's Ethan Smile and the Forever Sisters mix, which is a companion mix to
Mm-hmm.
honor the young women who were taken. But so that is, there's been a what I think is a phenomenal response for people who likewise want to honor Ethan with tulips, and the Chapins are going to come out and actually to sell the bouquets this spring, and at the farm, because they've found it's been an amazing experience so far, just to connect with people around that. So grateful for them. So the Ethan Smile mix, it's a thing because of the ideas that you brought about. Of course, we went out and planted some gardens. What was that like? You and I went and planted in Conway and Mount Vernon, and even at the Park in Mount Vernon. What was that
Yeah,
like?
I would definitely say that it was therapeutic for sure.
Mm-hmm.
To be able to just do anything to help with the healing process and to get this idea started. It was definitely very therapeutic for me, and I love planting.
Right, right.
Yeah.
And you, so we can go back and read. So you reached out to the University of Idaho, and I think it was the dean of students that you talked to, right?
Being a
What
student,
was
yes.
that like? I mean, because you don't know them. You're like, hey, I'm just senior from Burlington High School, right? You're doing running start, and hey, we want to plant some tulips. What?
Yeah.
How did that go down?
Um, it took a little bit. I remember I was in the hotel room when I called him, and we had a little discussion. He's like, "I would love to do all of this, but I have to go talk to everyone else."
Mm-hmm.
And then it was several days of phone calls before he finally got back to me, and we were able to proceed with that.
Right. Well, and I can tell you since then, the University of Idaho has reached out. Where, of course, we're actually doing an alumni event this spring for the University of Idaho on the farm. We're going to celebrate Ethan's smile with the Vandal community. We're going to Vandal Bloom that's happening. So they've responded since we've planted. I think we sent about 6,000 bulbs over this year. Of course, it was in November, so the ground is frozen in Moscow,
Yeah.
Idaho. But they put them in pots, and we're going to continue to send Ethan Smile and Forever Sister mixes over to Moscow, so they can plant that to continue to honor our friend. So yellow, I guess we can revisit this. So it's a yellow and a white mix. The significance of white and yellow to you, how is that significant to you? I mean, we could have picked any colors. That happens to be one that is available. Why white and yellow?
Um, and you explained this to me really well. I'll see if I can do as good of a job remembering it.
Well, this is about you, man. I can say what I do. It's a pop. I don't want to say it's a pop quiz, but I want to know. I think people want to know how you, because this was your idea. This is what's
You
it mean
helped
to
come up with
you?
the colors though.
Yeah, well, I'm colorblind, so
So yellow was for Idaho Vandals. Um, and at first I thought white because of his smile, because he had the pearly white teeth,
there you
and
go.
the smile went really well with it. and then you ended up in it's white's also the peace, it represents peace, and I'm
Hope.
blanking on the other thing.
That's hope,
Hope.
right?
Hope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
And then that was yeah.
yeah. And I
Go.
totally spaced on, I didn't even think about the teeth part of the smile. So I'm glad you brought that up. I'm sure that has nothing to do with the fact that your dad's an orthodontist, right? So
Oh no, definitely not.
no, I think I'm glad that you thought of that. It really is. And that's what I love about tulips. One of the things that I love most about tulips is
Hmm.
that flowers are personal, and I think tulips are the most personal of the flowers. And we're so fortunate in our community to have that be really the icon of our agriculture, of what we rally around. For many of us, how we provide for our families, but for all of us, it's how we choose to celebrate spring. And to be able to bring our friend Ethan into that conversation really forever moving forward, with these living memorials of Ethan Smiles gardens to be planted really all over the world. We do actually have interest from people literally all over from New Zealand to the UK to Australia that are asking
Oh
to
wow.
participate. They want to get our bulbs, and so that's a word problem that we're working on. But for those of us here, certainly in the Skagit Valley and around, we owe you a debt of gratitude for your creativity and your courage, because it would have been very a well, that's too bad response, and would have been completely acceptable. But you stepped forward, and I think that says a lot about who you are, Reese, and where you're going with your life. And I again, I think it's a privilege for me to have kind of been on the coached you as on the at least on the Tulip team moving forward. I know we're gonna have a great season this year, and I look forward to working with you yet again. What's next for you, Reese?
Figuring out what college I'm gonna go to is next up.
Yeah.
Yeah, got about month and a half left to decide. I'm going to look at Baylor next week for a spring break, so that'll be really fun.
Nice, nice.
Yeah.
That's great. That's great. Far away. Although, I was in Waco in February, and Chip and Joanna Gaines planted about 25,000 tulips there at the silos in Waco. So, um,
Okay.
if you do end up at Baylor, I'm going to send you some Ethan Smile, so you can tulips in Texas take a little bit more work than here in the Skagit Valley, but we won't let the Gaines just run that whole show. Or you can just take them over there and ask her to plant a garden of Ethan Smile. Who knows? Well,
I would
Reese,
love that. Yeah.
wherever you end up, you're going to have an impact, because you've already punched way above your weight in terms of impact. Both I can on the businesses that I've run, on the farms that we've been a part of, and my household as well, and your enthusiasm and your care and concern for your friends extends far and wide. And so kudos to you on that. And it's a great thing to watch
Thank
you
you.
solve problems and bring joy in a way that is significant and personal to so many different people. So good on you for that.
Thank you. I think you should give yourself some praise too, Andrew, to be able to pull through all of this with Ethan Smile at your farm is it's a pretty big thing. I don't think you give yourself enough credit.
Oh, well, you're very kind. But I'm going to say the same thing that we say. This is what we do because of who we are, right? And it
Hmm.
takes a village to raise a farmer, and it takes a village to raise great kids like you. And I've said it before. We are still an agricultural community here in Skagit Valley, but our most important exports are our youth. They're kids like you, Reese, are going to go out and put a dent in the universe, and maybe someday come home and grow tulips. I didn't go to law school to be a tulip farmer, and you're not going to Baylor to be a tulip farmer either. But you'll always have a home here at Tulip Valley. So uh, looking forward
Thank
to
you.
many more blooms with whatever that brings for you. So,
I'll be there.
Right on. Hey, I'm Andrew Miller, and this is Tulip Valley, and we've had an opportunity today to sit down and talk to Reese Gardner about his experience working on tulip farms and the genesis of the Ethan Smile tulip mix, and how we got here and where we're going to go from here. And it's been a joy to talk to you, Reese, and I wish you best of luck on your finals tomorrow as you sprint through finals, and then and get through those, because we've got a lot of work here coming up as soon as the bloom gets on.
Perfect. Let me know when I can show up.
We'll see you in the field. All
All
right, I'm
right.
Andrew. This is Tulip Valley. Thank you so much for joining us today.